Dromaeosauridae, commonly known as raptors, were a group of small to medium-sized, carnivorous theropod dinosaurs that lived during the Cretaceous period. Known for their sharp claws, swift agility and keen hunting abilities, they were closely related to birds. This family includes famous genera like Velociraptor and Deinonychus, known for their intelligence and predatory skills. Ostroraptor is the largest dromaeosaur discovered in the southern hemisphere, with size estimates ranging from 5 to 6 meters long and weighing between 300 to 520 kilograms. Its skull is elongated and low, measuring 80 centimeters, with conical, non-serrated teeth resembling those of spinosaurids. Unique features include an anteriorly curving lacrimal bone and disproportionate toes, though some researchers suggest the toe morphology might indicate a chimera. Unlike typical dromaeosaurs, Ostroraptor had short forelimbs, similar to Tyrannosaurus, though the two are not closely related. This reduced arm length is also seen in related genera like Tyrannoraptor. Ostroraptor likely had strong running abilities, suited for pursuing small, fast prey, although some studies suggest it might have hunted larger animals due to its conical teeth. It is also believed that Ostroraptor, like other Unenlagians, could have included fish in its diet, similar to piscivorous reptiles, due to the structure of its teeth. Unenlagians had better capacities for running and pursuit predation than other dromaeosaurids such as Laurasian dromaeosaurids, which were stockier and had shorter legs and had an active predatory lifestyle. They were highly cursorial animals because they were more gracile and had modified metatarsals that are relatively thin and lengthened. Based on these adaptations, it is likely that they preyed on small, fast animals, although the exact animals are unknown. Bichiraptor features particular traits that can be attributed to specific hunting methods. Models for Bichiraptor propose that it hunted by traveling large distances in pursuit of prey, which may explain the long-legged trait shared by various genera of Unenlagidae. It is characterized by its long forelimbs and hands. It likely relied on them to restrain prey, and the curved claw of the second pedal digit would have injured or killed the victim. Bichiraptor probably swallowed its prey whole due to its lack of serrated teeth with flesh-tearing capabilities. The teeth functioned to simply hold prey. Nuquinraptor was the first dromaeosaurid discovered in South America, expanding the geographical range of this group, previously known mostly from North America and Asia. Estimated to be about 1.8 meters long, it was lightweight and built for speed, suggesting it was an agile predator capable of pursuing small prey. Like other dromaeosaurs, it had a specialized sickle-shaped claw on its second toe, which it likely used for hunting and immobilizing prey. Although no direct evidence of feathers has been found, based on its close relatives, Nuquinraptor was likely feathered, adding to the growing evidence that many dromaeosaurs were covered in plumage. Pyroraptor is a small, lightweight dromaeosaur from the late Cretaceous of Europe, known from limited fossil remains, including parts of the foot, arms and teeth. Estimated to be around 1.4 meters long, as in other dromaeosaurids, these claws might have been used as weapons or as climbing aids. While its exact classification within dromaeosaur groups is unclear, it is believed to have been covered in feathers, with wings on its arms and a fan-like tail. It was an ambush predator, using a hunting technique called raptor prey restraint, where it would pounce on prey and use its wings to maintain balance. Pyroraptor could also run up vertical surfaces, using flaps of its wings for support. It probably lived a solitary life but may have formed small family groups to care for its young. This dinosaur inhabited a series of islands in a shallow sea, similar to modern-day island chains like the Bahamas. It is known from the Argiles et Grèce aux Reptiles formation of what is now southern France. During the late Cretaceous, it was one part of the island landmass known as Ibero-Armorica, formed from what is today southern France and northern Spain in the Tethys Ocean. Unenlagiinae is another one of our southern, classification allied dubious dromaeosaurids, and the one that lent its name to the group as a whole. It was originally thought to be a juvenile megaraptor, however the two are very well separated on the dinosaur family tree. It was about 3.5 meters long and was very bird-like in appearance and general morphology. It was too big to fly, and was probably in the process of adapting for a fish-eating lifestyle, like its large cousin, Austroraptor, given its long and narrow snout. Novas and porta found at the pelvic region of Unenlagiinae closely resembled that of the early bird Archaeopteryx, suggesting some bird-like traits. However, while it was originally thought that Unenlagiinae's shoulder girdle was adapted for flapping, later studies indicated that its shoulder structure likely prevented it from lifting its forelimbs above its back, a limitation shared with other non-avian theropods. The describers of Epuparia suggested that Unenlagians such as this genus and its sister taxon Austroraptor likely consumed fish for a considerable part of their diet, based on their non-serrated conical teeth that are similar to those of other piscivorous tetrapods including gavialoid crocodilians and spinosaurid theropods. Photographs of the holotype were taken shortly before it was destroyed and the museum it was housed in was heavily damaged in a fire on September 2, 2018. Ugueto recognized it as belonging to a new genus of Unenlagian theropods, and the paper naming and describing the holotype was due to be submitted around the same time as the fire that destroyed the fossil, but was delayed because of the fire and the species was not named and described until 2021. Halszkaraptor is known from a single near-complete skeleton and would have been about the size of a modern mallard duck, around 60 centimeters long. It had some very odd features for a raptor, with many small sharp backwards-pointing teeth, crocodile-like sensory pits on its snout, a long flexible neck, small flipper-like arms, a relatively short tail, and a more upright body posture than its other relatives. All these traits together suggest it may have been semi-aquatic, which is a pretty big deal since the only other group of non-avian dinosaurs known to have developed adaptations for life in the water were the spinosaurids. The fossil was originally illegally excavated by fossil poachers and was owned by private collectors for several years, but it has now been returned to science and is due to be repatriated to Mongolia. With its odd anatomy and the exact origin of the specimen being unknown, there's some skepticism about whether Halszkaraptor represents a genuine animal or an elaborate fake chimera, but synchrotron scans of the fossil and its similarity to previously discovered more fragmentary short-armed raptors like Mahakala suggest that it is real, and it really is that weird. This duck raptor interpretation has been a little controversial since it was first proposed in 2017, but we've just gotten some more evidence for it in the form of an entirely new Halszkaraptorine. Natovenator lived in what is now the Gobi Desert in southern Mongolia. The size of a small duck, about 45 centimeters long, it had jaws full of many needle-like teeth, a long flexible goose-like neck, and a streamlined body with a wide flattened ribcage convergently shaped like those of modern diving birds. Although it had long strong legs, these don't show much in the way of aquatic specializations and would have been used more for walking and running on land. Instead, it may have used its flipper-like arms to propel itself through the water, like modern penguins or auks. It probably had a lifestyle similar to modern mergansers, swimming and diving in lakes and rivers, and preying on fish, amphibians, and aquatic invertebrates. Halszkaraptorinae has been reclassified as a Halszkaraptorine taxon, updating various aspects about the lifestyle of these animals. It had a similar lifestyle to those of the modern-day sawbills, spending most of their time in aquatic environments, such as rivers, using fore- and hindlimb-assisted swimming. But like all dinosaurs, they come up onto land to reproduce and laid eggs in terrestrial nests. However, it appears to be that Halszkaraptorinae may have been more terrestrial based on the holotype Metatarsus, which features adaptations for a more subcursorial lifestyle, supporting the diversification within this subfamily. The partial brain case is a small element, measuring just 1 centimeter in length. It is embedded in a small portion of the sandstone layer. In general, the morphology is very complex and has an irregular shape. Based on comparisons with other Maniraptorans, the preserved portion can be identified as the right inner side of the proatocopisthodic bones in the brain case. Mahakala was a small raptor, about 70 centimeters in length, and it was very similar to the earliest members of the Humaniraptoran group in general, sharing characteristics with other Humaniraptorans like Troodontids and aviolans. It is uncertain if Mahakala was semi-aquatic, but it seems at least possible at this time. It also had very short forelimbs compared to other raptors, but similar in size to those of Halszkaraptor. It probably didn't move about much, but spent its time at the oases and temporary rivers to find food in the water. It probably also swam about in the water, using its wings and legs to help propel it forward. It would have been a secretive sort of animal, being surrounded by many kinds of predators and threats, and wouldn't have strayed far from its home. Given its rarity, and the uncommon nature of its probable preferred habitat, Mahakala would have probably not lived in social groups. Sinornithosaurus was a feathered dinosaur with well-preserved impressions of feathers covering its body and forming wings, similar to those of modern birds. The feathers were of two types, down-like tufts and more structured feathers with barbs, but lacking the tiny hooks that allow for true flight in modern birds. This suggests that it may have been capable of gliding short distances, though it likely could not sustain flight. In 2009, scientists proposed that Sinornithosaurus might have been venomous, based on the long, grooved teeth in its skull, which resemble those of modern venomous animals. They speculated that it could have used these teeth to inject venom into prey, such as small birds, stunning them before consumption. However, a 2010 study challenged this idea, noting that grooved teeth are common in many theropods and that the supposed venom glands were likely just normal sinuses. The debate about its venomous nature remains unresolved, with some arguing that grooved teeth alone are insufficient evidence of venom. While some researchers believe Sinornithosaurus had aerodynamic potential for gliding, others argue it was too heavy to fly, though the discovery of larger, gliding relatives like Changeraptor has kept the possibility open. Despite this uncertainty, its close relationship to flying dromaeosaurs highlights its potential for some form of aerial locomotion. Microraptorines are known for their small size and, in some cases, their ability to fly or glide. However, researchers Longrich and Curry concluded that Hesperonychus, a small dinosaur, likely did not possess four wings or gliding abilities like Microraptor. Despite this, Hesperonychus indicated that Microraptorines maintained a consistently small size compared to other dromaeosaurids. Its discovery filled a gap in the ecological understanding of late Cretaceous North America, where small carnivorous dinosaurs had been notably absent. Unlike ecosystems in Europe and Asia, North America seemed to lack small predator species, which was unusual given that modern ecosystems dominated by endothermic animals tend to have more small species than large ones. Hesperonychus. It was significantly larger than the smallest mammal in its environment, which weighed only 600 grams. There was no overlap between the smallest dinosaurs and largest mammals, possibly due to competition, either preventing mammals from growing larger or dinosaurs from growing smaller. Tianuraptor was another of our four-winged theropods, found in the Liaoning province, in China. It was fairly unique in that it showed a variety of traits typically shown by both northern and southern types of dromaeosaurid from China. It was about 1.6 meters long, and had fairly short forelimbs compared to other dromaeosaurids, and had long hind limbs like other microraptorines, though it was bigger than most microraptorines. Thus, it is typically described as a transitional form between dromaeosaurids like Microraptor and later ones like Velociraptor. It probably had a different lifestyle than other Microraptors due to its short arms. It was not suited for gliding or flight and probably lived most of its life on the ground. Microraptorines are usually noted for their long and robust forelimbs and large, asymmetrical flight feathers. However, the shortened forelimbs, small furcula, and the transversely wide coracoid in Tyranuraptor suggest that it was not suited for aerodynamic gliding or flight. The discovery of Zongianosaurus in the Ischian Formation, in addition to 8 other dromaeosaurids, suggests that there was a sufficient amount of niche partitioning. The varying size of the different dromaeosaurids likely indicates that they focused on different types of prey and that many were specific about what type of prey they consumed. Niche partitioning may also have been aided by differentiation in habitat preferences. Zongianosaurus was, in view of its small size, possibly omnivorous and arboreal. However, a full understanding of niche differentiation of G-hole dromaeosaurids probably will require a full dataset of the tempospatial distribution of the many G-hole dromaeosaurid fossils and a better understanding of their ecology before such conclusions can be fully drawn. Changoraptor was a large, four-winged microraptorine dinosaur, measuring about 1.2 meters in length and weighing approximately 4 kilograms, making it the largest known microraptorine. It had feathers covering its entire body, including both its forelimbs and hind limbs, giving the appearance of 2 pairs of wings, which likely enabled it to fly. Its long, feathered tail, with feathers reaching 30 centimeters, helped control pitch during flight and allowed for softer landings, an advantage for a heavier animal that achieved faster gliding speeds. These tail feathers set a record for length among non-avian dinosaurs. While similar to early birds like Archaeopteryx, Changoraptor had a unique aerodynamic model compared to modern birds, which have featherless legs and rely solely on 2 wings for stable flight. It lived in the G-hole biota, a temperate forest environment, alongside other dinosaurs like Eodromaeosauria, in an ecosystem dominated by ginkgos and conifers with a seasonal climate. Microraptor was one of the smallest non-avian dinosaurs, with specimens measuring around 80 centimeters in length and weighing 1 kilogram. It was among the first dinosaurs discovered with detailed feather impressions, showing a covering of feathers on its body, including long flight feathers on both its forelimbs and hind limbs. This gave Microraptor a unique, four-winged appearance, suggesting it might have been capable of gliding or even limited flight. Its feathers included a diamond-shaped tail fan, potentially aiding in stability during flight. The dinosaur's feathers were possibly iridescent, with some specimens showing bands of dark and light colors. The long feathers on its legs were similar to modern bird flight feathers, though its wing structure differed from that of modern birds, indicating a distinct aerodynamic model. Initially thought to be a glider, later studies debated Microraptor's flight capabilities. Some researchers proposed it could parachute short distances, while others suggested it might have used wing-assisted incline running and leaping. The anatomical features, such as the shoulder girdle and wing structure, were studied to determine if Microraptor could achieve powered flight. The debate continues regarding whether Microraptor could sustain true flight or was primarily a glider. The four-winged configuration also raises questions about the evolutionary path of bird flight, suggesting a possible four-winged stage in early avian evolution. Despite its small size and unique wing arrangement, Microraptor's role in the evolution of flight remains an intriguing area of study. Paleontologist John Ostrom's study of Deinonychus in the late 1960s revolutionized the way scientists thought about dinosaurs, leading to the dinosaur renaissance and igniting the debate on whether dinosaurs were warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Before this, the popular conception of dinosaurs had been one of plodding, reptilian giants. Ostrom noted the small body, sleek, horizontal posture, ratite-like spine and especially the enlarged raptorial claws on the feet, which suggested an active, agile predator. Based on fully mature specimens, Deinonychus is estimated to reach 3 meters in length, with a skull length of 40 centimeters and a body mass of 70 kilograms. Some researchers suggest a higher mass of 100 kilograms based on femur and humerus circumference. Deinonychus had a powerful jaw with around 70 blade-like teeth and a skull with large fenestrae for weight reduction. The skull differed from Velociraptor by being more robust and lacking depressed nasals. Despite no skin impressions, evidence suggests feathers were present in Deinonychus and related species like Microraptor. Fossils found with Tenontosaurus hint at possible pack behavior, although this is debated. Studies suggest Deinonychus may have used its sickle claw for grappling and climbing, rather than slashing. Bite force estimates vary, with recent studies suggesting it could deliver a force comparable to a similarly sized alligator. Its sickle claws show variability, possibly due to individual or age differences. The dinosaur's arms were likely used for grasping rather than folding, and juvenile specimens may have had longer arms for different behaviors. Some research suggests young Deinonychus could have been capable of some flight. Speed estimates are debated, with some studies suggesting it was not as fast as other dinosaurs or modern flightless birds. Pop culture often portrays Deinonychus based on characteristics similar to Velociraptor, influenced by John Ostrom's research and its use in Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. The body length of Velociraptor was estimated to be 2.5 meters. The holotype includes 2 partial dorsal vertebrae and parts of the sacrum. Although fragmentary, the material shows a combination of features found only in the Dromaeosauridae, including relatively short and massive vertebrae, tall neural spines, and facets for the ribs set on long stalks. The vertebrae showed extensive pneumatization. The dorsal had pleurocoels through which the air sacs of the respiratory system entered the vertebral bodies, forming large camellate air spaces. The diapophyseal fossa also invaded the neural arch. The neural canals were expanded to behind, embaying the top of the centrum. The sacral vertebrae lacked pleurocoels and had a spongy bone structure. The only described specimen of Bambiraptor is a juvenile, measuring about 90 centimeters long, with an estimated total length of 1 meter and a weight of around 2 kilograms. It had long hind limbs, suggesting it was a fast runner, and long arms with a well-developed wishbone. Research indicates it may have had opposable first and third fingers, allowing it to manipulate food similarly to small mammals. Its brain was relatively large for its size, which, combined with an enlarged cerebellum, suggests higher agility and possibly intelligence. Some scientists propose that a larger brain might indicate an arboreal lifestyle or hunting agile prey. While no feathers were found with the fossil, it is widely believed that Bambiraptor, being a member of the feathered paravs group, likely had feathers. This assumption is supported by the phylogenetic relationship with other feathered dinosaurs. Estimated to have measured about 2 meters in length and weighed 15 kilograms, Atrociraptor was a relatively small dromaeosaurid. It differs from its contemporary relatives in that its face is much deeper, and its teeth are more strongly inclined backwards than in most other dromaeosaurids and are almost all the same size. It also differed from most relatives in details of the skull, such as the part of the premaxilla below the nostril being taller than long, and in that its maxillary fenestra was larger. The fragmentary nature of the holotype has made the exact relations of Atrociraptor uncertain. It was initially thought to be a Velociraptorine, but is now considered a Saurornitholestinae. It is thought to have been specialized for attacking larger prey than other dromaeosaurids, due to its deep snout. Various ideas for how dromaeosaurids use their sickle claws have been proposed, and 21st-century studies suggest they used them to grasp and restrain struggling prey while dismembering them with the mouth. The holotype specimen is known from the horse thief member of the Horseshoe Canyon Formation, which dates to the Maastrichtian age. Assigned teeth from other parts of the formation indicate it survived for over 2 million years and across a wide geographic area. Saurornitholestinae was a small dromaeosaurid, with the type species measuring about 1.8 meters long and weighing between 5 and 22 kilograms. This dinosaur had a long, blade-like claw on its second toe and was more lightly built than other dromaeosaurids like Velociraptor. Saurornitholestinae resembled Velociraptor and had fang-like teeth at the front of its jaws. Its sense of smell may have been acute, as indicated by a large olfactory bulb in its skull. The feeding habits of Saurornitholestinae involved a puncture and pull method, with teeth wear patterns similar to those of Tyrannosauridae and Troodontidae. It likely preferred larger prey compared to Troodontids and was adapted to handle struggling prey, sharing this trait with Tyrannosaurids. Evidence suggests Saurornitholestinae may have scavenged, as a tooth was found embedded in the wing bone of a large pterosaur, likely a juvenile Quetzalcoatlus. Utahraptor was a large raptor dinosaur, characterized by its bulky trunk, shorter legs, long arms, large head and stiffened tail. It measured about 7 meters long and weighed around 500 kilograms, making it comparable in size to a modern grizzly bear. The claws on its feet were massive, possibly up to 24 centimeters long, and it likely had a keratin sheath covering them. The skull is not yet described, but it probably had a long, triangular head with serrated teeth. Like other raptors, Utahraptor would have been feathered, with large wings and a distinctive tail fan. Its legs were somewhat less feathered but still notable. As a predator, it hunted large prey such as ornithopods and younger sauropods. It likely used ambush tactics, relying on powerful legs to jump onto and restrain prey, using its large claws to target vital areas. Its large wings enabled it to run up steep surfaces and possibly climb vertical ones, aiding in hunting and searching for prey. Although it did not hunt in packs, evidence suggests it may have lived in family groups, with adults hunting alone and young gathering food before reuniting. Utahraptor likely cared for its young and used its wings and tail for communication and display. It was active, warm-blooded, and exhibited bird-like behaviors. Aquilobbator was a large, heavily built dromaeosaurid, measuring about 5 meters long and weighing between 300 kilograms. It was one of the largest raptors. The dinosaur had a robust build, with a deep maxilla, femur, and a primitive pelvis featuring a vertically oriented pubis. Its legs were stocky and robust, suggesting it was built for moderate running and leaping. Despite its heavy build, Aquilobbator was not optimized for high-speed running, scoring low on cursorial limb proportion metrics. In terms of behavior, Aquilobbator likely filled the role of a large predator, hunting medium to large prey. Its sickle claws were adapted for aggressive predatory behavior rather than climbing. Studies suggest that, similar to raptorial birds, dromaeosaurs like Aquilobbator used their sickle claws to immobilize prey by leaping onto it and then feeding on it while it was alive. The dinosaur's feathered arms and tail may have helped stabilize its balance during this process. Dromaeosaurus was a medium-sized theropod, approximately 2 meters long and weighing around 16 kilograms. The dinosaur had a robust skull with a deep snout and large, sharply curved teeth coated in enamel. Each maxilla contained 9 teeth, and its jaw structure, including a shallow Machelian groove, suggested a powerful bite. Distinct from many relatives, Dromaeosaurus had a short, massive skull and a deep mandible, indicating it was capable of crushing and tearing prey. Its bite force was estimated to be nearly 3 times stronger than that of Velociraptor, suggesting a reliance on jaw strength rather than just the sickle claw for hunting. Studies indicated that Dromaeosaurus likely had a diurnal hunting pattern, similar to other theropods such as Aleormus. The dinosaur's feeding behavior involved a puncture and pull method, similar to that of other Coelurosaurians. Its teeth showed were patterns indicative of a diet focused on larger prey, including bone, which allowed it to handle struggling prey more effectively. This strategy paralleled that of tyrannosaurids like Gorgosaurus, suggesting that Dromaeosaurus shared ecological traits with both smaller dromaeosaurids and larger predators of its time. Velociraptor is one of the dinosaur genera most familiar to the general public due to its prominent role in the Jurassic Park films. But it is commonly known it was roughly the size of a turkey, considerably smaller than the approximately 2 meters tall reptiles seen in the novels and films, which were based on members of the related genus Deinonychus. Today, Velociraptor is well known to paleontologists, with over a dozen described fossil skeletons. In 2007, Alan Turner discovered quill knobs on a Velociraptor specimen, indicating it had feathers. This finding challenged the idea that large, flightless Maniraptorans lost feathers secondarily and suggested that its ancestors could fly. The feathers on Velociraptor may have been used for display, nesting, or aiding in running up slopes. Studies of its maxilla reveal that it had a selective feeding strategy, preying on small, fast animals, unlike its North American relatives with robust jaws for larger prey. Its bite force was lower than that of other dromaeosaurids, indicating it might have scavenged more often. The Fighting Dinosaurs fossil shows Velociraptor in combat with Protoceratops, providing insights into its predatory behavior. The fossil suggests it used its sickle claw to pierce vital organs rather than slash. The raptor prey restraint model proposes that it captured prey by pinning it with its body weight and claws, similar to modern birds of prey. It was warm-blooded, with a moderate metabolism similar to modern flightless birds like the kiwi. However, studies indicate its nasal cavity did not match the thermoregulatory efficiency of modern endotherms. Paleopathological evidence includes injuries from fights and possible post-mortem scavenging behavior. According to Cerri, Velociraptorinae can be distinguished based on the following characteristics: dromaeosaurids with maxillary and dentary teeth possessing denticles on the anterior carinae that are significantly smaller than the posterior denticles, and which have a second premaxillary tooth that is significantly larger than the third and fourth premaxillary teeth, dromaeosaurids with nasals that appear depressed, when observed in lateral view. According to Turner, they can be distinguished based on the following unambiguous characteristics: the posterior opening of the basisphenoid recess is divided into two small, circular foramina by a thin bar of bone, the dorsal tympanic recess is present as a deep, posterolaterally directed concavity, pleurocoels are present in all of the dorsal vertebrae. Linharaptor was relatively small compared to some other dromaeosaurids, measuring about 2.5 meters long and weighing around 15 kilograms. Its size suggests it was a nimble and agile predator. Analysis of its skeletal structure and claw morphology indicates it was an agile predator, likely using its speed and sharp claws to capture and subdue prey. Its build suggests it was well adapted for running and maneuvering quickly. Its relatively long legs and lightweight body would have made it a fast and agile hunter. It is often compared to Velociraptor due to similarities in size and anatomical features. However, Linharaptor exhibits some distinct differences in skull and dental structure. It lived alongside other theropods and dinosaurs in what is now Mongolia. Its small size and agile nature suggest it occupied a different ecological niche from larger, more heavily built predators. The study of Linharaptor contributes to our understanding of the evolutionary relationships among dromaeosaurids and other theropods, providing insights into how these predators adapted and evolved over time. Research on its dentition and jaw mechanics suggests it had a strong bite force for its size, indicating it could effectively handle and consume a variety of prey items. While direct evidence of social behavior in Linharaptor is limited, comparisons with other dromaeosaurids may offer clues about potential group dynamics or solitary hunting strategies. About 72 million years ago, in the late Cretaceous of what is now Mongolia, a dead dromaeosaurid dinosaur lost its head. 33 years ago, in 1991, its headless fossilized remains were discovered during a joint Mongolian Academy of Sciences, American Museum of Natural History expedition in the Gobi Desert. For a long time, the specimen was known only by the nickname of Ichabod Craniosaurus, in reference to a character haunted by a headless ghost in the story The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but now it's finally been given a full scientific description and a proper name. Here is the first new non-avian dinosaur of 2021, Sri Devi. Named after a Buddhist deity, this little dinosaur was around 2 meters long, roughly the size of a modern peacock. It was a very close relative of Velociraptor, but lived in a slightly different part of the ancient Gobi than its famous cousin, giving us a glimpse of how dromaeosaurid species varied across that region. Luanchuanraptor were moderate-sized dromaeosaurs, estimated at 1.5 meters long with weights from 2.2 to 2.5 kilograms. However, a specimen preserves an unfused frontal, meaning that it was not a fully grown animal at the time of death and therefore, they reached slightly larger sizes. They can be recognized from other dromaeosaur taxa in having a very stiff tail tip as indicated by the short neural spines of the caudal vertebrae, connected anterior chevrons, some posterior caudals with depressions near the neural spine, stocky proximal and posterior end of the chevrons, and a large opening on the coracoid. The remains were found in the late Cretaceous Chupa Formation of China. Most of the environments present consisted on shallow lakes with braided, delta rivers. The fauna present on the formation seems to be different from other Asiatic formations, with the well-reported occurrences of mammals and lizards. Kuru is a small eudromaeosaur, comparable in size to Velociraptor. The holotype is known from an incomplete skeleton. Distinguishing features of Kuru include a deep groove in front of the external nares, a small horn-like projection on the lacrimal bone, 2 foramina on the rear of the surangular bone, and forward-shifted pleurocoels on the dorsal vertebrae. Its diet and ecology remain largely unstudied, but it is noted alongside other dromaeosaurs like Sri and an unnamed velociraptor-like specimen in the Barangayat Formation. There is speculation that Kuru, Sri, and the velociraptor-like specimen might have had overlapping prey preferences, but the incomplete nature of their skulls makes it difficult to confirm distinct ecological niches. The type specimen of Kuru was discovered in the Barangayat Formation near Kulsan, close to the younger Nemegt Formation. The sediments of the Barangayat Formation were deposited in a range of conditions, including dune deposits and lakes in interdune areas, as well as taker-like sediments with irregular flooding. The formation features red beds, light-colored sands, sandy claystones, siltstones, conglomerates and medium to fine-grained sandstones. These sediments suggest an arid to semi-arid climate with alluvial plains, lacustrine environments, and ephemeral water bodies. The overall geology provides insight into the paleo environments where Kuru and its contemporaries lived.